Yeah. The
So we are going to go ahead on and get started. We're asking all of the panelists when you come, introduce yourself, your institution or affiliation, your current research, what it is that you're doing, and then, of course, the title of your paper and all that good stuff. So,
okay. Well, I am
all right.
Dr. You ready?
Yep, I'm gonna pin you so you'll be up front. There you go.
Okay, I am Dr. Gino Gibson, and I am the assistant professor of homiletics and church leadership at Methodist Theological School in Ohio. I am also the senior pastor of the Mount Olivet Baptist Church in Columbus, Ohio. So it is at that juncture, if you will, that as a graduate from CTS in the PhD program, I am a practitioner scholar, if you will. So my research is kind of all over the place. I do definite research in celebrative preaching as a mentee of Dr. Frank Thomas. My dissertation was called Son of Abraham, Examining the African American Prophetic Rhetoric of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I've done a paper on that was published and was looking to do more. And then the paper that I wrote for this, or the paper that I'm wrestling with for this, was one that I wrote in response to the election of 47. It was a sermon, actually, that became what I'm presenting today. And I will be honest, it's not. I watched what Dr. Johnson sent me yesterday. I'll be honest, it's not the polished presentation. All right. What I want to do is just read it. I'm gonna read a piece of it, a portion of it, and we'll see what happens. All right. Um, so the name of it is We're Off to See the Wizard. Um, no, it's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I can't remember exact title I sent you, Andre. Y'all got me. I'm a little nervous about it. But it deals with the wicked politics of Donald John Trump. Um, and I'll try to get the exact title for it in a second. So let me start. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz, because of the wonderful things he does. Most of us know these iconic words from the 1939 movie, The Wizard of Oz, that we saw in our youth and that still plays every holiday season. Some of us even remember the remix version of the song from the chocolate-covered offering of the movie, The Wiz, produced by Motown's Berry Gordy and with music by mega producer Quincy Jones. We were invited to come on, ease on down the road. Both were adapted from a story that poured off the pen of L. Frank Baum some 125 years ago. In the work, Baum chronicles the exploits of the Lion, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and Dorothy Gale. Much to his surprise and the shock of many others, it became one of the most well-loved, recognizable, and iconic stories in the history of American culture. It's no wonder that in 1995, Gregory Maguire, a PhD in English, while wrestling with and studying the existential presence of power and systemic evil in children's literature, was drawn to the Baum narrative. Maguire wanted to understand why evil characters in children's novels were evil without explanation. I mean, they had no background story, no qualifying narrative, no origin story. Maguire took issue with this and wrote a masterful book that became a Tony-winning play, an even more amazing movie, called Wicked. Wicked is the prequel to the Wizard of Oz franchise, in which Maguire tells the story of what happened before Dorothy and the other three characters were off to see the Wizard of Oz. He introduces us to Elphaba, an incredibly gifted young woman who was maligned and mistreated even by her stepfather, partly because she was conceived in an adulterous affair, but mostly because of the green hue of her skin. And despite this, however, she's highly recruited into a college program where she outperforms all the people whose skin was different and more acceptable than hers. So much so that she is summoned to see the wizard. You recall that the wizard is the ruler of the Emerald City, which when she arrives in the city, She is more than excited, believing that the wizard can help end the corruption in Oz and maybe even help ease the pain and discrimination that she experiences due to being a woman of color. But unfortunately, when she enters his inner chamber, she finds out that the wizard not only wants to use and manipulate her real power because he has none of his own, and when she refused to play along with the games, he and his staff decided to use negative media to propagandize her as evil, calling her wicked, and eventually she becomes the Wicked Witch of the West. As stated, it's an amazing book, and it became an amazing play, and recently an incredible movie. When I admit I saw the play twice and it blew me away. In fact, I was so blown away by the movie. I called my daughter Trinity, who I took to the play and about it, and she's like Malcolm X and Martin King Jr. Jr. And she said, "Dad, I know why you were blown away, because a black woman being green is different than a white woman being green. A black woman knows what it is to be a woman of color, while a white woman is just acting." Elphaba is treated as an enemy of the state for refusing to allow herself to be manipulated by those with no power. She is maligned and seen as less than because she is a woman, because of the color of her skin. This is what Maguire writes in the prequel to L. Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. As he describes the story of Kamala, no, I mean Elphaba. In America, no, I mean Oz. Maguire called the story wicked and revealed to us the politics at play before and in the narrative of one of the all-time greatest stories in American literature. But it should not be surprising that there are politics at play in the Wizard of Oz. This is at least what historian Quentin Taylor argues in his 2004 article, Money and Politics in the Land of Oz. He asserts that many of the events and the characters of the books resemble the actual political personalities, events, and ideas in the 1890s. He says that the tornado that hits Kansas in the beginning represents the economic storm that was happening to the people back then. The Munchkins represent how small the people appeared to the corrupt government they were citizens of. Dorothy represents the American people who had been duped and led astray by the powers that be, and they're just trying to find their way back to the familiar and find their way back home. The Scarecrow represents the farmers who had been having a tough time thinking their way out of the mess they were in. The Tin Men represented the steel industry that had no heart, putting the making of money over the safety of workers. The Lion represented the American military and its lack of courage in some of the campaigns in the late 19th century. The Poppy Field represented the rise of pharmaceutical companies and the money being made by the rich in prescription drugs. And the Emerald City is a fraudulent world built by corrupt people on green money, and the only way you can get there is by gold or a yellow brick road. Finally, the wizard is a scheming politician who uses political tricks, media devices, and publicity stunts to fool the people of Oz into believing he's all wise, all powerful, and all good, when in actuality he is selfish, evil, powerless, and wicked, and guilty of stealing their resources by any means necessary. Oh, yes, there are politics in this story, politics that describe a society where a small number of rich elite are using their power to keep the poor masses poor. A place where a fraudulent and felonious leader who, through spectacular tricks and media manipulation, had duped people into adoration, making them believe that he is for them, but he's only for himself and others like them, filling the coffers of money made on the misery of people, not caring about humanity, only the love of power and money, and it is wicked. Doesn't that sound familiar? It almost sounds like I'm not talking about the Wizard of Oz in 1890s anymore. It sounds like I'm talking about the wicked politics happening in these yet to be United States in 2026, where a wicked con man politician called 47 is doing his best to be a dictator and king, one who has no real skill, aptitude, or power. He is a wizard, if you will, that uses tricks to rule because he does not have the intelligence or diplomacy to govern. Maguire writes this book and he calls it wicked. Wicked. We do know what wicked is, don't we? I mean, when we say wicked, what comes to mind beyond the ones that carry weight in the traditional church, like drinking, smoking, drugs, fornication, adultery, divorce, and being gay? I mean, what is real wickedness? I ask this because for me, it's no longer what it used to be. It's no longer a witch on a broomstick with a pointy hat, a red man with horns and a pointy tail. I mean, we used to think wicked was dressed in white sheets burning crosses in the yard, but I'm convinced now it might be white men in blue suits burning the tenets of our democracy by executive order. Maybe it rests in the belief that you are better than someone simply because of the color of your skin. Maybe wickedness is some of us saying a person cannot choose to love whom they want to love because that person is the same gender as them. Or could it have been men making uterine decisions when they don't have one? Maybe wicked looks like those in position of power concretizing their power by dehumanizing the powerless and calling them wicked. I mean, it's got to be wicked to have health care while voting that others shouldn't, or having clean drinking water while knowing others don't. Is it not wicked to dump waste in certain urban communities while using profits from said waste to live in suburban gated community? Help me out for real. Which of these is truly wicked? To knock on the wall of the borders until your knuckles bleed, what willing to give your life for the hope and future of your family, or at that same border to cage children and arrest deport their parents, denying them the chance. When I see wicked, what do we see? I see the politics of Donald John Trump. That's it.
All right. All right. Well, we are off and running at the conference. So let me open it up for Q&A or comments. I've seen a lot of emojis and some. Yep. Thanks for getting us started. So, questions, comments.
Thanks, Doc, for putting it. It was the paper was supposed to be called "The Wonderful Wizard of Oz: The
Right.
Collision of Race, Religion, and the Wicked Politics of Donald J. Trump."
Uh,
Thanks.
no problem, man. No problem. No problem. Any comments? Any questions? Well, let me start then, Dr. Gibson. I know that you earlier said that this was some like a work in progress or um, something similar to that. And I know what you have been working on and what your dissertation, of course. So what led you to this? Was it just in the sermonic moment, or was this something else that you were thinking about? Because in your citations, the citations really fit the way I was hearing, really fit where you were going. So how did you come across wanting to do this?
Well, when I found out that um, Kamala Harris had been beaten so bad, I didn't know what to do with it. I really didn't know what to do with it. I didn't see that coming, right? I didn't. Maybe you did. I didn't. I didn't see it coming. And when it happened so in such a landslide fashion, I have to preach, right? I got to preach to a people. And what was crazy around the same time, I had just saw the movie Wicked. Literally, I just saw the movie Wicked. And again, I'd seen it on stage twice. And my daughter Trinity said, Dad, that's easy. A black woman being green is different than a white woman being green. Bow,
Mm,
right? So actually, this became a whole series. Wicked one, two, three, and four. It
mhm,
became a whole series for Advent.
mhm,
Wicked was first. Wicked, uh, um, the root of all evil was two. Wicked, poisonous praise was three. And from wicked to wonderful was the fourth one. I mean, it actually just kept going. And I used Advent scriptures. Um, but then as the 47 continued to do what he's done, and then it just gelled into something else. And I was blessed to interview Gregory Maguire. I interviewed him and we talked about the differences between the book and then the screenplay and all of those things. But he just said, he just saw abstract evil and he put it into a way and he used the bomb narrative because it was so popular. He was able to go adjacent to it and even, further away from it. And of course, the book is a lot darker than the movie, but it was that's kind of where it came from. And I'm still wrestling with it. Every time I look at the news, it's just like, yo, this is wicked, right? For real.
All right. I have another question, but I want to let someone else jump in here.
I'll jump in.
All right.
Reverend Dr. Gibson. This is Rodney Lyde. I feel a connection to you. I pastor in Pittsburgh, got a PhD from Duquesne, and my pastor, Reverend Anthony Trufant, actually served as an intern years ago under Dr. Booth.
I preached for True last year. I preached for True last year.
How about that? So, you know what? Now the 6 degrees of separation has become one.
Right.
One of the many things that stood out to me about your scholarship was also the way you framed wizard. I love that because in trying to explain this phenomena, right, how what he has been able to do and what he did, I love the way you explained that here's a person, I forgot the exact wording, but in paraphrasing, someone without talent and ability posing is what I drew from it.
Mhm.
And I thought that was absolutely brilliant because for many of us, we're just trying to understand that because we're so used to pursuing excellence and being excellent that it's like anathematic to us. It's strange. Like, can't people see that this person is at best average? Uh,
Right.
right. But at the same time, here's the thing that I want to get your real time feedback on this question because as you are, I'm a lover of words, but I could tell that. And I really did appreciate also the way you framed your scholarship. The word wizard actually is rooted in the word wise. So I wonder what your thought about, and you know, I'm not an apologist. This is really just about scholarship. What is on the flip side of recognizing that this is mediocrity at best? What might you say is some of the ill genius of what he's doing?
Um, I'm a movie lover, Dr. La, and one of the greatest lines to me is from the movie Usual Suspects.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest trick the devil ever pulled is to convince people he didn't exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that the wisdom, if there be one, of
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump and his cronies is the fact that he's duping everybody, right?
Sure.
The
Sure.
wisdom is that he's had several assassination attempts that all of us know, come on, bro, right? But the media is due. They're carrying out these people who, I mean, whatever it is, it's almost serpentine, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a cunning wisdom that's scary almost. It's like everybody's around here looking like we're being punked, right? And I know that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
sound scholarship wise, but
No.
it's like, really? Is this for real? This is what we're doing. And I think that becomes the flip side wisdom of it that it's working. And there are reports that said that he said this years ago that if he ever wanted to go into politics, he would be a Republican because
Sure.
those things. I think he's documented in saying some of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
think that would be the crazy wisdom of it that it's working.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I love that. You know, also just because it sometimes we are looking for things that are deeper than what they are.
Right.
Right. So when you just say, here's a person that's a wizard, and what we're witnessing is wicked, and let's just call it out for what it is. And it made me realize we may have just been all of us certainly when it comes to politics have this expectation of how things are. His complete transparency about being transactional and being self-serving and self-dealing for us just seems so strange and obvious. But I agree with you that the wisdom is gleaned from people are just uh, they're just not interested in maybe perhaps even thinking that deeply about things. They just want to be told something that's simple, and they want facile logic. And
Right.
that's why I love this thing about wickedness, because wickedness is facile, wickedness is self-serving, wickedness is self-dealing, wickedness is transactional. And so thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
Let me jump in here because I want to ask this question. If that is all true, let's assume that it is for a moment, everything that we have said and everything that we have felt is true. What is the role of communication scholarship, as well as homiletical scholarship? What is the role at this particular moment for those two disciplines?
I think that when you say communication, I'm presupposing you mean academic
Yeah,
communication. Yeah,
rhetoric,
yeah.
communication, rhetorical
I
studies. Yeah.
I think that it is at the um, conversion of the two, be it in one rhetor or in several rhetors to come together to bring the academic content as well as the prophetic power of the pulpit or of writing, or the pulpit or the pen or any of those things. One can do it, but two can do it better. And I think it's of course to speak truth to power. It is to give hope. It is to um, to diagnose and prescribe, possibly to tell the truth about what's going on, to not be co-opted by the powers that be, all of those things. I think it's just the revolution will not be televised time and moment, that it's those of us that do have a microphone or a pen or a platform are called to really address the situations from a sober place, but also a powerful and prophetic place.
All right. Anyone else? That's good.
I'll jump in.
Yes.
I would say that part of it for me is that in communication, we have to create this space in our classrooms to really hear the other.
Mhm.
And so that we can be, so our own voice can be heard as well. And so I think that's a really important thing that we have to talk about and work in our classrooms, and the way that we, really we have to embody it in all that we do. And so I think that is a big piece. I will say for me, when Harris lost, I was deeply hurt by it. I think I over identified with her in that our background, West Indian, Indian, it just Black. And when she lost, it has made me really wonder, what are the real values of America? And I really don't understand how the same people that voted for Obama could vote for Trump. And so it has left me in this state of wondering, and I don't know the answer. I just have those questions of, I mean, did other people know that DEI was supported just by the government? Like, I thought that was a real thing people wanted to do. So I feel like I've been hoodwinked, if you will.
I think that's a great point because in the movie, when I was watching the movie, I was literally taking notes on my iPhone, like it was amazing. It was like out of body. When they said she was wicked in the movie, Elphaba, when they said she was wicked and everybody ran with it, I turned to my wife. I said, "Is this what happened in the play too?" She said, "Babe, it's the same storyline." I said, "I don't remember this like this, right?" But it was right after the loss. So I actually saw her as a woman of color. I actually saw her as being maligned like Kamala. Really, I did. And as a result, I had to do something with it. I have all of these notes in my phone, and they say, "Well, Sunday's coming, you got to preach." Boom. And that's what poured off, seriously, just like that. Because I had to, like you said, make sense of it. I was hurt, I saw my mother, I saw my sister, I saw my three daughters, I saw, bow, So yeah, I think you're right. We make space for it, but it has to be who we are. It's amazing to me, and this is no slight against anybody, it's just the truth. How many of us of African American preachers are struggling to sound prophetic now because of all that's going on in America, and they only are sounding prophetic to a certain point, right? Because if prophetic has to now deal with LGBT, we can't go there. No, we can't go there. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna save everybody else, but they still, I mean, I'm dealing with a big thing in my church about that now too. So, yeah. So it's one word. Gregory Maguire calls it wicked, right? He calls it wicked.
Dr. McDonald, and then William Burgess next. Go.
Thank you. Great presentation, Dr. Gibson. So adding to the conversation, I think for me it's important, like these conversations and these papers are important because of the connection between our personal theology, our public theology, and our political policies that many people don't even grasp that so many of our public policies derive from people's personal theologies. And so these types of conversations are good. And so my question to you, Dr. Gibson, is where do you see this paper going? It's a work in progress. I mean, I feel like there's so many ways that you can go next, whether it's you just tell me what your thoughts are.
I'm new to the academic life, right? So I don't know. It started off as a sermon,
Okay.
right? And it became four. Then Dr. Johnson sent out some for papers, and I just sent him a title. You think this can work? He said, "Bet." I'm like, "Oh, now I got to present it, right?" I don't know, but I think there's something there, though. I really do. So I
Yeah.
would, Nicole, you and I go back. I'd love to kind of figure out what it could look like. It's so much more too. I have so much more that I haven't even put down on paper. This is like I haven't even talked about some of the new things that are going on and how it matches both the book and the movie. Oh, and it's like a strategy. I mean, it's like wizardry, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know yet.
Yeah. Well, I guess two things that I wrote down. You could do a close reading of some of his speeches that demonstrate the wickedness, like maybe
Mhm.
his speech at the prayer breakfast, the annual prayer breakfast, that type of thing. Or talk about some of his specific either legislative policies and demonstrate how those are wicked as well.
Mhm.
Those are my two thoughts, at least. But
Those are good. And like some of the legislative policies is what I was suggesting that I haven't really even opened up yet, right? Especially some of the latest stuff that has happened, some of the repealing and all of those things. I haven't even, gotten that far yet because this was actually written in late 24.
yeah, we'll keep working on it. I think it's good stuff.
Thank you.
All right. And William Burgess, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. As you see, I am very much so in dad mode right now, but trying to be as attentive as possible. Dr. Gibson, appreciated your presentation as a scholar practitioner myself. One of the things that I think about in the pulpit, as well as, when we talk about writing with the pen, when it comes to this idea of being prophetic, is a way of trying to give hope or point to a level of hope. I'm curious, just kind of as you talk, and as I think I have some ideas about it, but as you listen and think about, this idea of the wickedness of Donald Trump, where do you see hope, or how do you kind of really express that hope in your own mind going forward with the project?
Good question, sir. In the sermon, I of course I'm a student of Dr. Frank Thomas, so situation, complication, resolution, celebration, right? So I resolve it in that, and I put the hook in the beginning. When she went into his inner chamber and found out he had no power. I wrote that in the beginning. So I get to the end, as we as the children of God, when we go into the inner chamber of God, we find out that not only does our God have power, but our God has all power. Right? That's kind of where I went in the sermon. I think that as far as the prophetic nature of it, I think one of the personas of the prophetic preacher is the pessimistic prophet, right? Coined by Dr. Andre Johnson. But I think that even in the pessimism of the prophet, there still is hope that, as King said, truth crushed against the ground shall rise again, and the long arc of the what I'm saying, universe is long, but it bends toward justice, right? So I think that we still write, we still preach, we still proclaim with that hope that it might be long, but it won't be too long because God's still watching, that kind of thing. I don't know if that it's concrete right now, and it might be. I just don't know that it is. But I think we proclaim it with the hope that eventually right right is triumphant. Does that make sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense, and I think that was part of where you're going. Um, just ideas in my head. A lot of times when we think about this idea of hope, also, there's different streams of influence. Part of it I think about is, James Cohen's earlier work where he talks about, eschatology, not really being a focus of Black theology because you want to have hope in this particular world. Stop it, stop it, stop it. She's fine, she's fine. My little sister's here trying to babysit my daughter. Um, one of the things that looks at, Black theology, having not as much of an eschatological focus because, we want to deal with hope in the now. And I think about a lot of Samuel Proctor's lectures on, how shall they preach? And, what are some of the arrows in the preacher's quiver to kind of, help get that those messages across. But really appreciate your presentation. I'm just spitballing a little bit through ideas.
Nope, that's wonderful. Sometimes those are the best ones.
All right. Do I see any more hands?
I just wanted to say that I think it sounds like a book and that it's important. I know my daughters, they're the 20 something, those who are missing in congregations. And I just see that that could be such a powerful book to witness to young people, and not witness in the sense of, come know Jesus, but to share about wickedness. And Jesus, of course, is always in it, but as the solution. But I just think that that would be very powerful because I think so many young people were so interested in wicked that I know personally.
Yeah, our daughters will be 13 next week, and she loved both of them. Sings the soundtrack, at full blast sometimes. Not only listens, I'm talking about she's singing it, right? So it's internalized. And yeah, thank you for that. That's the fear that it is a book. But in order for it to be a book, you got to write it, right? It's like, oh my God.
Come on, you got time, don't you, between sermons?
You got to listen to Dr. McDonald, who said you got to, look at some of the speeches and analyze.
Right. Yeah. Close reading. I'm pretty decent at close reading. Dr. Johnson knows that. But yeah, it takes time to dig in there and do it, and it takes the commitment to do it. And I know it's right there. I know it's right there. I know it. And I have like two or three other ones that are right there. I just got to buckle down and do them really.
And if I may, just another part of this too, with Dr. Johnson's question, where does our preaching scholarship, our academic scholarship, what's our role? And I think we also have to understand we're competing against this the preferred mediums of the time, being social media. But a part of our work has to be countering that, because it is the mediums of today are shallow, and the mediums of today don't really promote people investigating or analyzing, going beneath the surface. And while we do have to use and exploit those things, those mediums such as papers, scholarships, books, deep and profound sermons, have an incredibly important place, not only for the now, but as we seek to shape future generations, like Jackie was sharing. We can't give up that space, and so I think that's an important thing. At the very least, we should be convicted about and convinced about that. At some point, the hope is, and I would say the expectation is, people will recognize this is just a wizard, right? Or they're being bewitched, and I want to read again, right? I want to pick up a book. I want to read some articles. I want to go attend a conference, and then maybe the other intersection of this is how our churches, those of us who have charge over leading them and serving them, how we can blur those lines and create liminal spaces for that, and invite into those spaces persons that can challenge our thinking and echo what we've been trying to say through sermons. So I think we have a charge to be, in terms of the media ethics of it. I think we have a charge in order to help people become media literate. And I think we have a charge to bring up the literacy around these matters of politics and social politics. So, and I think you're right there, and I encourage you in that end. So, bless you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Want to just check to make sure that there are no hands or.
Dr. Johnson, if you're speaking to us, we can't hear you.
Oh, wait a minute. Hello. Hello. Okay. Yes. I was just checking to see if there were any more questions or comments.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Hey,
What's up?
I'm good. I just want to share that Dr. Gibson, I'm with the Ohio Council of Churches in Columbus, Ohio. And at the first of this month, we had a event at Mount Olivet where we talked about understanding white Christian nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Gibson's presentation, he touched on this particular lecture and invited us to share. So here I am. But I was coming because Dr. Johnson always drags me into these things. But he used it in the context to help us understand how white Christian nationalism originates, developed, who they've made the enemy, and it was outstanding. So he has already utilized it in a particular context. And so, Dr. Gibson, this might be something that you could draw on to expand what you shared with us on
Yes,
May
ma'am.
the 2nd.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
Very good. Good. Any other comments, questions? All righty. Just making sure, because if not, then we will take our break right now and come back at 10:30 Central Time for our second panel, which is African American Religious Rhetoric. Daniel Kipp, Tom First, and James Jones Jr. will be presenting. And we want to thank, y'all show some love again to the Reverend Dr. Gino Gibson for coming in, presenting. And Doc, you're more than welcome just to stick around or just jump in and out whenever you can. Let me just get everybody back up in here to the gallery there. So thankful for you and your scholarship and your work. And I really do believe that this speaks to what the entire theme is all about, the philosophy of communication, especially the ethics centered around communication as well, which I know we'll talk a little bit more as we go on in the in-person conference this week as well. So with that, let's take our break, and we'll be back at 10:30 Central Standard Time.